Welcome back to Bleeding Rainbow Comics. I'm LJ,
And I'm Win.
and today we're going to be having our spoiler discussion of Deadpool and Wolverine, so be warned. All right, so breaking down Deadpool and Wolverine, I have them sorted by categories, just like our non-spoiler coverage, but instead of ranking them, this time we're actually allowed to talk about them. So first, I thought we'd go through in character order. So let's just talk about Deadpool. What'd you like? What'd you not like? What tickled your fancy, and what tickled your other things?
I mean, it was Deadpool. Tickled all the things.
So I personally thought that Deadpool's fight scenes were great. Like, I think that those are some of the best fight scenes that I've seen in the MCU.
His intro was the best.
Yes,
I loved the intro.
That's why you were excited to see it the second time, just to watch the intro again. But we are allowed to talk about spoilers. So
I did notice that like not as many people got a rise out of the whole Backstreet Boys thing and him dancing to it, but like that was gold.
It was golden.
It goes into the non-spoiler video I was talking about how it's a lot of straight guys, so of course they're too cool to like that.
I'm too cool to not like it. But no, I thought that especially the opening fight scene where he's using Logan's adamantium skeleton as weapons, I thought that was creative. I thought it was really cool and really gory, and I just think it was a really good way to set up the movie.
Yeah. Well, blood on the snow was cool too.
And that was really cool. Having it snow during that scene was a really good choice. But yeah, I also thought when he gave himself Logan's claws.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think my favorite scene from Deadpool was the opening scene of the movie. But it did set up for a good movie. What else did you like of Deadpool personally? I thought he had good character motivations. I think it could have dove into it a little bit more. I think it could have shown a little bit more. But again, we've had 2 movies that have already shown. But I think that if this was somebody's first Deadpool movie, I think that more of him with his personal relationships, even a little bit, would have went a long way. I think he did have growth by the end. There was a clear, here is his issue. He feels inadequate. He needs to feel important. And by the end of, like, they were very upfront about his character motivations. I think that we could have gone a little bit more into that. There was just so much to pack into this movie.
No, I just don't really have much more to say about him. It was Deadpool and it was cool.
Yeah, we've had 3 movies to know what to expect from him. But I think fight scenes pretty creative. I think he had some really good dialogue. And there was just a lot of digging at Disney and Fox and how kind of inside baseball he was, and talked about the industry. And it just is a very meta movie. And you can only do that with Deadpool. So I mean, I liked him. Going on Wolverine, he actually had my favorite quote from the movie. The quote is when he's talking to Cassandra Nova. He says, "We're mutants. We're never safe." And I think that just kind of resonated with me. Like, as a queer person, I never feel safe. I am one of the most cautious people in the world. Like, I've just had really bad experiences, and being different, being a minority, being a marginalized group, that really resonated with me. But yeah, I also think that he's the most comic accurate Wolverine we've gotten, and along with Deadpool, I think that's the most accurate of Deadpool that we've gotten. Not height wise, but we did get that. But
can everybody shut up about the height of Wolverine now, because he looked ridiculous.
I thought he looked cool. I loved Oompa Loompa Wolverine. But this is also the most that I've connected with Logan in any of his movies. Like, in the other movies, I liked him because he was Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Not because he was Wolverine. But I feel like in this movie, it finally sold Wolverine to me. Because before this, my favorite Wolverine was animated Wolverine, like in comic book Wolverine. But now I think the live action Wolverine has joined the ranks.
I also really appreciated the scenes we kept getting with him in the field in the white t-shirt.
I also enjoy Hugh Jackman in a white t-shirt. It could have rained. But
it's because that scene is directly from the No More Mutants with Wanda.
I feel like
after she says no more mutants, and he wakes up in his new life. He wakes up in a field, and that's when he remembers who he is and all his memories and all that stuff. And
so a couple calls to Wanda in this movie, but no Wanda.
It looked straight out from the comic book.
I liked it.
Yeah.
No, it was sad because everybody was dead. Let's see. Just for him, I also just really liked both of their suits. Like, I think this is ironically the best Hugh Jackman has ever looked as Wolverine.
Yeah.
And he's in his 50s now, which is crazy. Like, I'm still working on it. But no, it's just, this is the most Wolverine we've ever gotten.
Awesome.
And I think that him being a Wolverine variant worked out. I think that he was well written. I think that everything was appropriate and everything lined up. I don't feel like any of it was forced. I thought it was all genuine to the story.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really undoes anything that Fox did prior. I think that if anything, it just builds on top of it. So I really appreciate this Wolverine.
Yeah, it's not like they tried to retcon anything. They were like, yeah, we did. There's all these movies.
We did this. Moving on.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Cassandra Nova. Do you want to start this one? I'll start the other one.
I mean, she was just awesome. Like I said in our last video, I love the use of her powers and how she did it. Thought it was really funny and cool that she rolled up in Chuck's wheelchair.
She's so mean. I really liked personally that they simplified her origin. I was a little afraid that they would make it a little bit too convoluted because I mean in the comics it's kind of convoluted.
Yeah, but I do like
just making him. I'm his twin, and we fought in the womb.
Yeah,
I liked that origin.
I think it's the more simplistic you can get with origins. I feel just helps it resonate and sink in better.
Yeah, I also loved her sausage fingers.
Oh my gosh! Right before we got the good close up of her long fingers, immediately thought of the stupid hot dog fingers and Everything Always at Once or whatever the title.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
But she looked cool. She
but
looked creepy.
Saw
her little ET fingers,
cool.
But like all of them were ET fingers.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's gorgeous. Keep going, honey. But I also really just liked her powers, like reaching through the faces, all of her reality manipulation when she just buried Wolverine. And then the really weird CGI de-skinning of Chris Evans. But no, it's just, you really felt that she could do anything and that she was a massive threat because she could just do anything. And she wasn't even worked up when she did it. It was just nonchalant.
Yeah, it was casual. And her face acting was great. Like when she was throwing Wolverine around, like we didn't need Magneto. She just did it with her telekinesis. She's like, it was like she doing an orchestra or something. Yeah. It was like that type of movement. And it was great. It was just very personable, I guess.
I loved that character. I loved Cassandra Nova.
Oh, nonchalant.
Next up, I have Mr. Paradox on the TVA. I personally, this is one of my favorite characters from the movie just because I thought he was super unique and I thought that the actor brought a lot to him. And like I said in the non-spoiler video, that he brought something new to it and he was able to compete with Deadpool in scenes and not be completely overshadowed. Yeah. Every scene that he was in, I was actually glued to Paradox instead of Deadpool. Just because he was so interesting and catty and I liked him.
I mean, he was good for the movie. He's somebody I don't need to see again.
Rude.
I really like the look of the TVA here. I like it more than I did in Loki.
See, I disagree with that because I like that little retro feel in Loki.
I mean, it still had a retro feel.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand because of the movie now why they look different. Because it's very much like the shadow TVA. It's not the main TVA. It's just one office of the TVA that's kind of gone rogue. So that's why they're not like showing their faces.
Yeah, I just liked it. It looked sleek. Well, and also all of the TVA could look like that now because we didn't really get a great look at what the TVA looks like now after it kind of reset from Loki 2.
So, I mean, I would still like to see the TVA proper, what that looks like now. But going on. So Peter Pool. I just wanted him in here because I liked his nip clamps.
I don't like Peter, but he did have some good comedic things, like when they stuffed his pants when he was in the Deadpool outfit.
I was gonna say for me, he's not one of my favorite characters just because I don't know, he's not as relatable to me, I guess, and he just seems less necessary. But I think that's the point of his character.
Yeah.
That he's just like the grounded one. But no, I thought that the few parts in the movie that he did a really good job with him. And he really pulled focus on the scenes that he was in. So I wanted to give him a shout out there because the actor did a really good job at doing his job, I guess. But no, and like a lot of these characters, they're really goofy characters. And to be in a movie with Deadpool, you have to be able to compete with his level of goofy.
Yeah.
And I think that every goofy character was able to bring something different to the table to make it interesting and not just another quippy, annoying, like,
I get you.
It wasn't another Deadpool. Next, we have the cameos. Let's talk about the cameos, and we're going to talk about them in the order in which they pop up in the movie. So first up would be Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan.
He was there.
He was there. I appreciate it. I like Happy. His de-aging was unexpected, but it was a throwback to the 2018. But yeah, I mean, I always enjoy Happy. I think that it was a good way to set it up using him, and I think that he's always game to whenever they call and, hey, you want to pop up? Because I mean, a lot of this is Kevin Feige, all of the history of the MCU, but a lot of it is also Jon Favreau. So when he pops up, I also think of all of that. So it's just a nice addition.
Sense. I just don't really care about Happy.
Well, I care about you, Happy. Just remember, when you feel nobody else does, I do. Next up, we have, at least in a TV monitor, we have Chris Hemsworth as Thor,
which turned into a running joke in the movie.
Yeah, I did appreciate that they kept going with it, because when it happened, I really didn't care.
They need to double down on it though, and we need to get that scene later in the MCU.
I think that both Ryan Reynolds and Chris Hemsworth are game enough to where they would be willing to, like, I think that that's the idea.
Yeah.
Because it is, that happened in the future, so I have to.
Yeah, I think it would even be funny if Deadpool was like, "Oh my gosh, it's happening!
It's happening!" But no, I mean, I'm not the biggest Chris Hemsworth fan, so that was just cool to me. So that was my Happy Hogan moment. We also had a couple more things in those TV monitors, like Chris Evans as Captain America, general Avengers things. I think like Wanda's hand even shows up at one point in one of them, for the Civil War fight. But the next big one is Chris Evans as Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're more excited about than I am. It was good. I enjoyed it. I think that they should have gave him his fantastic suit more. Because it was literally the Captain America pants pulled up over the Fantastic Four suit.
Yeah.
He looked like Captain America, but then ended up being Johnny Storm. I felt like we needed more of that.
Oh, I will take all of the Chris Evans Human Torch that I can. So Chris Evans Human Torch was not only my gay awakening, like every other person in the world, but I think it was also my Marvel awakening. Before then, I really liked the DC cartoons and stuff because, that was like, 2004? Somewhere in there. So I was like 10 when that came out. 11. You were mid-50s. But no, so that's like where my biggest nostalgia is those two Fantastic Four movies. And so just seeing Chris Evans and the fake out that he was Johnny instead of Steve, I thought that was, one, creative, because who else can you do that with?
Yeah.
Like, nobody else has a Hollywood history to where you would be able to do a character fake out like that. So I'm really glad that they did that. But also I thought it was great. Now, I could have used a suit more similar to what they did back then, or even an upgraded version of that, or even what John Krasinski wore, something like that, from Multiverse of Madness, because it was more like it looked like a compression shirt with a 4 on it, and then like blue army pants, and combat boots, which I mean works for the Void, so I'll give you that.
Yeah,
but I also want like a Marvel Legend or a Hot Toys figure. With
they leaned too much into the Captain America because like he had these red arm gauntlet things on, like it was like fabric. It was just wrapped up. But if he's supposed to be Johnny Storm, why is there red in it at all? Like you could have did it without the red, and it would have read more like Johnny Storm than Captain America.
But he was supposed to.
I know. I think it went a little like here's the line. It just took a step over. Like it was just a little too much.
I did like his Johnny Storm with the longer hair.
Yeah,
I will say that instead of the like really short buzz cut baby Chris.
Yeah.
But going on, then we have our entourage of Tyler Mane as Sabretooth, Aaron Sanford as Pyro, and various other X-Men characters that weren't played by the original actors. I thought those were okay. Like, I never really connected to Sabretooth or Pyro in the other movies. Like, it was a really cool callback, but I
wish we'd gotten more Sabretooth because I do like Sabretooth. I don't like Pyro, so I wish he had a smaller role. So flip them.
I wish Pyro wasn't there just so we would have gotten more Johnny. Like, I know that they were a perfect antithesis of each other, but
yeah.
I don't know. I wish Pyro wasn't there. That way I could actually see him flame on more. But I mean, like Deadpool says, it wasn't in the budget. So at least I got a little bit. I'll just be grateful. Next, we have the Island of Misfit Toys with Jennifer Garner as Elektra, Wesley Snipes as Blade, Channing Tatum as Gambit, and Daphne Keane as X-23 or Laura Kinney. I'll be the first to admit, I love Jennifer Garner, but I'm not a big fan of the Ben Affleck Daredevil movies, and I will shamefully admit that I have never seen the Wesley Snipes Blade movies. So
I used to watch Blade Trinity a lot. That's the one I like.
So you were a little bit more pumped for them.
I mean, I still didn't really care.
It was fun.
I mean, in hindsight, I probably watched it that much because you saw a lot of groin action from Ryan Reynolds in that movie.
Yeah, as any movie since then. But no, I liked Jennifer Garner as Elektra. I think that her character moments, like when they mentioned that Daredevil died, and she's like, "Oh, it's fine." That was great. I wish that she had cooler fight moments.
Yeah,
I could have used more of that.
Yeah, and I did like Elektra because I liked the Elektra movie.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated the Garner more than I did the Blade.
So. Yeah. Well, I also thought that they underutilized Blade too. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean,
like he had cooler fight scenes in Elektra, but I overall think that the one that wins for fighting is Channing Tatum as Gambit and Daphne Keane as X-23.
Yeah, Channing Tatum looked ridiculous as Gambit, and can we finally stop saying we want him as Gambit because it's not good. But his power set and how he fought was awesome.
Yeah, I liked his cards. I also like how he charged the staff, and I feel like they took some notes from X-Men 97 about how to use his powers. But
I also got the vibe like everyone in the room knew that his Gambit was a joke, but him.
Yeah, I think that's the point. that's a very much Channing Tatum. But I do appreciate that they included it.
Yeah, it was
just so he finally got his moment, since that was the almost that never happened.
Well, and it was a funny just joke.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. I'm glad it's done.
I wish they at least had him grow out the top of his hair a little bit, because I think that was my biggest issue with his look, was just he had the cowl and everything, and then it was just like little baby hairs.
Yeah. With the Blade thing, do you think they were hinting that we're not getting the new Blade?
Honestly, I'm okay with that. So in the movie, Wesley Snipes makes the comment that there's only one Blade and there's only ever going to be one Blade.
And they pan to Deadpool and he just stares at the screen like, Are you getting it?
Yeah. So honestly, like I'm not a big Blade fan. I know he means a lot to so many
Yeah.
people. So I want to get this Blade movie, if not for me, for all of the people that are waiting for it.
I mean, I think it would be interesting to introduce a Blade. I don't care what Blade. I think it'd be interesting to introduce Blade into the MCU.
Well, and just getting more vampires and stuff, then
Yeah.
we get more like then you get into more Moon Knight territory and all, like
look
I'm
at
100% for all that.
Look at the new Blood Hunt that released
Mhm.
in comics. That was interesting.
And it's centered around Blade.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoilers.
I think that we could benefit from a Blade.
Yeah.
And it would help revitalize the MCU.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I also want Moon Knight to lean more into like the Midnight Mansion, how he's in the comic books, and just dark, working with vampires and all that stuff. And I feel like it all goes hand in hand. But, so I'm gonna need all this to hurry up so I can get my Moon Knight to get a little bit darker.
But I'm fine with whoever plays Blade. I don't care.
I mean, at this point, I think it should be Wesley Snipes, just because I want him to be able to say like, "I made that happen." Like, so I feel like with Comic-Con being this weekend, and as of right now, we will have gotten all Marvel Comic-Con announcements.
It's happening right now.
Yep, it is Saturday at 10:18 p.m. So any announcements have already happened. We don't know about them because we're still recording this video. But I think it would be really funny if it was just Wesley Snipes. Like, I don't know how long Mahershala Ali can hold on to this role, and I don't think he should. Like, I think he's been out of the spotlight now, and just I think it's time. It's time.
With Weapon X-23, the only complaints I have is we didn't see her fight enough, because I love her flippy flips around people.
Her flippy flip.
Well, the way she moves on top of guys, because she's so small. So she'll like wrap her legs around their neck and like flip around behind them and stab them.
She's like the Wolverine widow.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I wanted to see more of that, and I didn't get it. Because that's what made me fall in love with her in Logan, was this little girl just ravishing, like just destroying all these military guys. And then I wanted to see her in a Wolverine suit.
Yeah, I do too.
Like that would be awesome.
But I did like the little callback with her glasses and her backpack.
Yeah, that was cute. She could have done that in a yellow and blue suit.
I do wish that she had a Wolverine suit, because she does make the comment like, "Oh, I got to have a life because of you."
And she idolized the yellow suit. Like, she read the X-Men comics in Logan. Like, there was X-Men comics in Logan, and she read them. And
so she should have had.
She would have, if she had a suit, it would.
Maybe it was in the backpack. I don't know. She had to take it out to make room for Juggernaut stuff. Going on, so the last cameo that I have is Wunmi Masaku as B-15, or as she was in the show, Verity Willis.
Yeah.
I really appreciated this one. I really liked her character from Loki.
She looked good. Like, I liked her look. It was very sleek and put together and awesome looking.
She's like the good Amanda Waller, and I love her.
Yeah.
I'm glad
she
that
would play a good Amanda Waller, actually. Like, she has that look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. But I liked her hair. Like, I liked the cut of her hair. I love the little gold triangles that was on her collar. Did you notice those?
I did not.
Oh, like, it was like a little lapel thing.
I'll need to watch the movie again.
It was neat. It's just her uniform looked good. Like I said, I like the TVA look.
And she just has a presence. Like, she very much seems like the head bee in charge.
Yeah.
And like yeah, Paradox would fear her, because she will put you in your place. I like her. So I wanted to put her on this list, and I don't know if it's considered a cameo or she's just in this movie. But I am glad that she was able to go from the show into the movie space. And I would love to see more of her.
Well, they're introducing that character, I think, in the comic books. I saw an advertisement for
was she on that cover?
Yeah, she was. For the TVA comic that's coming out with Ghost Spider. Yeah, she was in it, and Miss Minutes was in it, and
maybe we'll have to cover that one too.
And Sylvie was in it too.
Listen, I'm all for it.
And then Gambit. So it's everything
little
you love.
Gambit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll read the crap out of that comic. But yeah, I love her. Going on, the Deadpool variant / Deadpool core.
Ugh, don't get me started. I know it's popular. I know everybody loved them, and it's going to be controversial.
See, I have the opposite reaction. It sounds like you wanted less of them. I
just
personally think the movie needed more of them. Not necessarily more Deadpool variants, but I think that it needed to use them more. Like
Yeah.
have a scene where maybe they fought, or maybe Deadpool went to a place with where they were at and they were talking peacefully, and then
Yeah.
something happens and then they start fighting. I would have just liked a little bit more from them because it was very much a we're here, we're gone.
Yeah.
Like I liked them. I feel like we got more time with, or more meaningful time with Logan variants than with the Deadpool core. And I mean, it is what it is. There's only so much time in a runtime, and there you can only pay for so much. But I would have liked to see more of the Deadpool core. So for the Deadpool core and Deadpool variants, we have Lady Deadpool, who in the credits was voiced by Blake Lively.
Which I still think it would have been funnier if they unmasked her and it was actually just an imposed face of Ryan Reynolds.
I think it should have been. I think it should have been Ryan Reynolds' face with the hair coming out. That's actually what I hoped the post-credit scene would be.
Yeah.
Is Lady Deadpool or Lady Pool being unmasked, no matter who it was or what it was. So I think that was a missed opportunity. If it was Blake, they could have been like, "Oh, it was Blake the whole time." What? Or it just could have been Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Dogpool / Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
The world's ugliest dog. I'm glad they ended up together though. Headpool, Kidpool, Cowboy Deadpool, who was, I looked this up, voiced by Matthew McConaughey. I didn't know that when we watched it. I didn't catch that. And Nice Pool. So I would say I didn't put Baby Pool on here, but Baby Pool was
in it.
He was in it. I liked Lady Deadpool. I wish that we got more of Lady Deadpool. I did not like Dogpool. I'm sorry for all of you that do like Dogpool, but I'm glad you do. Headpool I thought was okay. I thought it was funny. Everybody else, whatever. Like I didn't really care about Nice Pool either.
Yeah.
But meh. I thought all of them were used well. I could have used more of them. I didn't quite attach to all of them as much as I would have wanted to.
I appreciate the jokes that came from them.
Yes.
Like when Wolverine walked across holding Dogpool.
Yes.
That was hilarious. And I loved that they all were just like, no, we're not
shooting the dog.
Yeah, we love this dog. And that was great. That was golden.
Yes. So I will say, if nothing else, for that one brief scene in the movie, Dogpool was worth it. The Wolverine variants. I feel like there's more to talk about. So I counted this one. Logan Skeleton as a Wolverine variant. Short Wolverine, Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, Patch, Old Wolverine / maybe it's supposed to be Old Man Logan, Crucified Wolverine, which was based on a Mark Silvestri cover of Uncanny X-Men number 251 from 1989. Yellow and Brown Suit Wolverine from Hulk versus Wolverine, and the Cavalrine, Henry Cavill. I enjoyed the Wolverine variants more than the Deadpool variants. Like we already said, the use of Logan Skeleton was great. Amazing. Short Wolverine was.
I'm glad it was in there. So I hope people shut up because we're going to eventually get a new Wolverine. They're going to have to cast somebody. And I just hope.
What if we got a new Wolverine without casting anybody?
What?
Keep going.
So I hope this shuts everybody up about size accurate Wolverine.
Oh, I still want it. I want it more than ever.
No, he looks ridiculous.
I know. I love it
now. Because they can say he's that height all he wants, but even in the comic books, he's drawn taller than they say he is.
Stop lying. I don't know. Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, super grungy, and it was a nice call.
Yeah. I mean, I loved all the variants of them. It was entertaining.
I'd say I have not read most of these Wolverine variants in a comic book, so I don't have as much connection to them. No. I think it was a missed opportunity. Like they theorized so much that Patch was going to be like Daniel Radcliffe or something.
When it wasn't.
That was a good throw off, because by the time you got to Henry Cavill's Wolverine, you didn't expect it to be somebody other than Hugh Jackman. So I think that paid off.
This is where I am going to be slightly hypocritical. I loved Henry Cavill as Wolverine. I would be fine if we cast him as the new Wolverine. He did look slightly too tall. But I appreciate, he looked really great though. Like,
but if it were short Wolverine versus Cavalrine, which one do you pick?
Oh, Cavill.
Okay.
I mean, 100%. And he looked great with the chops. Like, it looked like Wolverine. Like, if we're gonna go with it, I think he is.
I don't know. I think I liked the crucified Wolverine just because it was a weird fever dream. Like, I didn't understand the cover until I saw it later.
Oh yeah.
Like, I didn't understand what it was based on, but like, it was just the first time I saw it, I was like, what is happening? And it was also, I like the colors, the red skulls and the yellow X. Like, it was very pleasing to the eyes.
I mean, it looked just like the cover.
Yeah. So getting away from Wolverine variants, going on to costuming. How do we feel about the costuming of Deadpool, Wolverine, the Deadpool core, the Logan variants, just overall in the movie?
I mean, like we said in our previous video, I think that they all looked great. I actually really liked the brown and yellow, but I still prefer. Did you?
Yeah.
But I actually still prefer the blue and yellow. I mean,
I'm always partial to blue, so
I mean, they go hand in hand. They both looked great, so I wouldn't complain. Whichever one we would have gotten permanently or more of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all just looked really good. Like, it looked comics accurate. It all looked great. Hopefully, studios are going to continue with this trend of not shying away from comic accuracy, because obviously you can make it look good.
Yeah, I mean, and they even poked fun at Wolverine's costume, but I really liked it. I thought he looked cool.
Yeah. My only critique is I think that shortening the ears on Wolverine's mask just slightly, just like an inch.
Disagree. But I think X-23 having a Wolverine suit would have been a change that I would have made. I just selfishly would like to see that. Like, I don't know how well it would fit, but I wanted that.
I prefer her also in the comic books. I prefer her in the yellow and blue suit, but a lot of the time she's in a black and gray suit. I would even have took that and been happy. I just want
anything other than normal clothes.
Yeah, I want to see her in a suit.
Everybody else got to wear a suit. Yeah, she didn't.
I want her in a suit. I love that Wolverine, and
you still got her.
Yeah,
just not wearing it. Costuming, I thought Cassandra's costuming was great.
Yeah,
I thought that they matched the comic as best they could.
Yeah, I thought it was a better look. Honestly, it wasn't just a t-shirt and a jacket. That's what she normally would. I mean, she looks like she's
cool
in Tarzan in the comic books or something. Like,
she looks scary.
Like, she has a very basic clothing thing, and they made it look good. I liked how her undershirt, when she took off her jacket and stuff at the very end, the like ribbon shirt that she had on, I liked how it mimicked an X. Like, I love how,
I didn't even think about that, but yeah,
I love how no matter what the character is, if it has anything to do with the X-Men, they always incorporate an X. Even if they're just a bad guy and hate the X-Men, like, somehow they also have an X in their suit.
No, I love her. I loved Cassandra. But yeah, I thought that the Deadpool core outfits were all great. I thought that they all looked great. Lady Deadpool, they made work. I thought she was fire.
The only thing I wish that we had gotten a Gwenpool as a variant. Just throw her in the background. I don't even need her to have lines or anything. I thought it'd be fun if you could see, like, what's with that white and pink Deadpool.
Yeah.
And then people could look her up and stuff like that. I just think it'd been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked her even if she was just blended into the Deadpool core. I think that she would have been a good addition, but who knows what their plans are for her. Yeah. And I think if they didn't have other plans for her, then they would have just put her in there.
And I know she's not a variant of Deadpool in the comics. She's her own character.
She can be in the Deadpool core. They're never going to make a Gwenpool show.
Yeah, so I just think she would be good.
Also, I just like her colors. Going on, talking about the queer representation in the movie. So we are Bleeding Rainbow Comics. The rainbow is obviously LGBT. So for any movie we cover, we're going to talk about the LGBT representation within the movie and its significance. So I felt that it was actually, for a movie about an LGBT character, I did think that the LGBT representation was light.
It was very lacking.
In our non-spoiler review, we went into like heavy detail on this because this is the only thing we actually could talk about. But I think that it's very much queer baiting Deadpool. He very much comes across as all of it is a joke, which I mean, granted, it is the character of Deadpool. So for this movie, I expect nothing else. But it comes across very much as, oh, I'm into women, but I'm also comfortable enough to joke about guys as well.
Yeah. And he's pansexual. He's not even bisexual. So it could have been anything. Like, have him try to hook up with another variant of himself.
He would. He'd Loki. But no, it's very much, and like we've said, it's very much
name only. Speaking of Loki, it's like that. They tried to claim that Loki was bisexual or whatever. All
briefly
Asgardians
mentioned
are pan or whatever they are, but then nothing's ever done with it.
Right. And I mean, Deadpool in these movies does have a female love interest, so I didn't expect anything on that front. But there is this trend of straight guys acting gay as a joke, which is harmful.
Yeah. It's getting old.
Yeah, it is very old, but they will grope each other, touch each other, say things to each other that are very homosexual in nature. But it's funny because being gay is a joke.
Yeah.
So that's like with Deadpool, and I understand where the character and where the writers are coming from. So at this movie, I'm not upset about it because that is his character.
Yeah.
And not every character is going to be perfect, and not every character is going to be the representation that you want from them.
And don't get us wrong, like we have straight male friends who joke with us that way. We don't mind that, but they also aren't going to bash us later for being gay and doing it to each other for real.
Right. And in my experience, most people that joke about being gay, it's very much because they see being gay as a joke.
Yeah. Like, and I'm sorry, but get a few beers in them and they're usually gay.
They're usually the ones that are just a little bit leany.
Had a few rendezvous with some straight guys.
They're all straight until a couple shots in. Me too. But no, I just think representation is pretty light in this. Like, yeah, they do have Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio, which I love her.
Hi, you too.
Sorry you had to see that. But they didn't act very coupley in this movie. Like, I can't give them any points for representation in this movie. Like, the only point that they get for this movie is not blatantly being against LGBT people. Like, so for this movie, it's not like I expected a bunch of queer representation, but I will say that this movie does not do it well.
Yeah. I mean, they don't really do it, in hindsight, they don't really do it well with any of it. I mean, we have one black character.
Are you counting Blade?
2 black characters because of, what's her name?
B-15.
B-15 and Blade.
There's not a lot of diversity.
There's no diversity. Yeah, it's all white people. Yeah. So,
and I've already seen people on the internet being like, "Oh, it took white guys to save the MCU. Go us!"
Gosh, I've not seen that.
I have, and it's very painful.
That's why we need diversity.
Yeah,
all
because
diversity.
You got diversity for the first, or you got yours for the first 10 years. While we had to sit and there was no diversity and no representation or inclusion of
if
us.
You want to get into it, not even just the first 10 years for the MCU, just in general in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's just now starting to be diverse in some cases.
And that's why the anti-woke crowd is all ruffled in their feathers. But yeah, we exist, by the way. Not sorry about it. Going on, rewatchability. Do you feel that this movie has a high rewatchability factor, or it's a one and done, you're good?
No, it has a lot of rewatchability. I mean, we've already seen it twice in the theater. We're going to go see it again tomorrow. Granted, I was a little fatigued the second time watching it in theater. I also don't know if that's just because I can't watch things over and over and over back to back. But give it, I mean, I was eager to go see it for the second time. I wanted to go see it.
Yeah.
Once I got in the seat and was about halfway through the movie, I was like, okay, I did this. Like I was just.
You also weren't in the loungers. You were in like the IMAX seats the second time.
There's a lot of factors that go into that question, like the type of person. Are you able to rewatch it to get something back to back? What environment you're in? Because the first time I watched it, there was nobody to me next to me.
Yeah,
it was just me and you. Second time we were in seats closer together. There was somebody right next to me, so I was leaning more towards you because I don't like people.
I just thought you were trying to be affectionate, but go on.
And we were in the middle of the aisle, so I wasn't even able to get up if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I'm not one of people that's like, excuse me.
No, I don't care if I'm about to pee my pants. I'm not moving in the middle. So I'm not ruining anybody else's movie experience.
We'll see how I feel again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And maybe
tomorrow we're back in the lounge chairs. We're not in the IMAX.
So maybe our next video, I'll just give a little recap for people. Like, it is rewatchable. It was just my second experience.
It's my social anxiety.
Yeah.
Also, it was within 24 hours you saw it again.
Yeah. But if it
no breathing room.
But if it was to drop on Disney Plus tonight, I'd be like, oh yeah, let's pop it on. So
for the third time.
Yeah, like I would rewatch it. I just, now that I've fully seen it, I want freedom to roam if I need to while watching it.
See, and for me, I rated this a 5 out of 5 for rewatchability, just because there's so much in it, just like any Marvel movie. But this especially has a lot of cameos. It has a lot of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And the first time you see it, you're going to be so enthralled about what's happening. The second time, I enjoyed the movie actually more because, one, my expectations were set. I knew exactly what I was getting from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that let me relax enough to just enjoy what was on the screen and not wonder what was happening next and just kind of appreciate what's there. The first time I saw it, I was kind of ahead of the scene mentally each time. So I enjoyed it more the second time. So for rewatchability for me, and there's just so much comedy in it that it's not dry. It's not overly sad for the whole movie. It's a popcorn flick. So
I can see that, because it did take me, the first time I watched it, it took me a little bit to resonate what I just watched, because you try to avoid spoilers. I soak them in like a sponge. I love them. I want to know everything I can about the movie before I go see it. And there was a lot of spoilery stuff I saw about like more X-Men characters in it, which apparently they just got cut out. But it was like a day before
early drafts of the script had more Fox X-Men in it.
But it was like 2 days before we went to go see the movie, I saw a leaked photo of Cyclops, and I don't know if it was real and it was a cutscene or if it was fake. Not real. But it was Cyclops in a yellow and blue suit that matched Wolverine's, and I wanted to see that. I wanted to see all my X-Men characters in those suits. So it was a little discouraging not to see any of them come back.
Well, and my perspective on that is I'm okay that we didn't get them. One, I didn't really care if we got the Fox X-Men back into the movie, because for me, I'm ready to move on.
I mean, I'm ready to move on too. I'm so thirsty to get X-Men in the MCU. It would have been fun just to see them for a glimpse of it. Like, we're seeing Wolverine. We're probably not going to see him in the suit again in the MCU. They're probably going to recast.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is only so charming to Hugh Jackman to convince him to come back. Right. So, I mean, he wants to be done. Let's let him be done. The poor man has served his time.
But no, for me, I think I'm more than okay with the Fox X-Men not coming back and putting them into comic outfits, because I'm okay with saving it for the real deal.
Yeah.
So saving it until they do properly come to the MCU. I feel like they don't need the send off. I feel like they've had their time. Well, like, I'm cool having Hugh Jackman back. And I mean, he's still there at the end of the movie along with Laura. So we'll see where they go moving forward.
And speaking of that, of Hugh Jackman, he is getting older. He is 50. Wolverine's not supposed to age. So we need to recast.
Right. We need to.
As much as I love him as Wolverine, we need a new one. We need a younger one.
It takes them a minute to age. But no, I'm actually glad that we didn't get the Fox X-Men in comic suits, because I think it'll be that much more impactful when we do see the new ones in the new suits. Like, we did get Gambit, but they intentionally made him look a little goofy. That way, when you see him for real, it'll be cooler.
It was fun to see Gambit and Wolverine with each other though, in the cartoon outfits.
Yeah,
like it was good.
Well, they gave you a couple to hold you over. There's your appetizer. But no, I really liked that. So we have next our unchecked wish list items. Is there anything that you wish that you got from the movie that either didn't quite hit or were just excluded completely?
Well, like I said, the X-Men. I would like to have seen X-Men cameos.
Greedy.
I also wanted to see X-23 in a suit, and I wanted to see her with more action.
Yeah, I think that Laura and Elektra should have gotten more action in the movie. For me, I did have X-23 suit on my unchecked wish list. I also have more from the Deadpool Corps because I feel like they needed a little bit more screen time to make it worth it.
Yes.
I would have liked to spend a little bit more time with those characters to kind of latch on to them a little bit more. And then my last unchecked wish list item that I have is Cassandra Nova continuing.
Yeah,
I think that's my biggest thing. I really loved the character, and I really dislike Marvel always killing their villains.
Yeah,
and I think that she was interesting enough to where we could have gotten more from her.
Yeah.
And I think that she's unique enough to where I don't want a variant. I want that
one. Yeah. The only thing I can think of too is I hate how it ended. Like, we left off, we're still in Deadpool's universe. He did not hop over to the MCU.
Yeah. I have that for what's next. So we can go on to that. So what is next for them? Because Deadpool, Wolverine, and X-23 are still on Earth 10005.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 3 zeros. So my expectation for the end of this movie was at least Deadpool going into 616 permanently. But I feel like now they're still there, but I feel like we're going to get the merge in Secret Wars instead.
Yeah, and I don't see that's not necessary. Just give it to us now. Throw him in there. Like, the movie really made you feel like, oh, he accepted that, like, he was going to sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
So if he was willing to sacrifice himself, why couldn't he just go to the MCU now, 616? Like, him and what's her face? She's not even important enough for me to remember her name.
Vanessa.
Vanessa wanted nothing to do with him. Like,
have you seen his face?
The boy,
me too, girl,
saved her life. Like, he went back in time and saved her, and then she breaks up with him. Like, she was done with him. He seemed like he had nothing in his world. So
you have such "oh no, you didn't" vibes going on right now.
So, like, why not just let him hop over now? Like, accept, like, yes, he loved them, but why can't he be okay with saying goodbye to them or bringing them over with him and just letting them be in the MCU?
Well, I think
do we have to drag it out?
I think that I do wish that he left off in the MCU, but at the same time, I think that setting up the premise for Secret Wars, you need to have them in different universes to start off in, or else you can't have the setup of Secret Wars.
Yeah, but we can get that with other characters, like X-Men. Like, maybe that's how the X-Men come over.
I mean, it probably is, but at the same time,
we also don't need it with Deadpool and X-Men and this character and that character. Like, just throw them in. Like, I'm getting sick of the MCU kind of promising things to us, and then, like, oh, next movie, like, they're end credits. Like, granted, it wasn't with this end credit scene, but in most MCU end credit scenes, it's teasing for the next thing, or
teasing for the 10th next thing.
Yeah, like, let's just.
I do think
don't drag it out. That's all I say. Just give us something.
I do think that the next time we see Deadpool will be Secret Wars. So I can live with how it ended because we know what's coming next. Yeah. And like I said, an hour ago at this point is when Marvel Studios Hall H presentation would be over. So who knows? We could be irrelevant by tomorrow.
I mean,
or by now.
I'm very hesitant about Secret Wars in general because I hear rumors that they're going to do a soft reboot with it. and all this stuff. And I think comics should have a timeline. I think the MCU should have a timeline. I don't think we should be rebooting all the time. Let it naturally progress. We have all these young heroes. Let's watch them grow up and become adult heroes.
Well, I don't think people actually know what they want. I think that they just want to re-experience the first phase of the MCU.
Yeah.
But if you recast Iron Man, because all these actors are getting old, if you recast them, I don't think they're going to enjoy it as much as they think they are, because it's nostalgia that they're after. It's not the content.
Yeah.
And so when they complain that all of these new characters are entering and it's not their dude bro characters, they have to. Like, they're actors, they're human beings. They age, they have to move on to other projects. There's a million other Marvel characters that they can cover. And for those people that say, oh, we need the Avengers was a B-level team before the MCU.
Yeah. And
Iron Man was a B-level character before the MCU. So
I think that it would be interesting to see, oh, what did Iron Man's daughter grow up to be? Like, those are interesting stories there. We can develop new, interesting superheroes. That we don't have to keep the same old ones.
And we already have been, so stop complaining about it. But wrapping this up, our last thing of the day is rating. So we're going to do a 1 out of 10. What do you rate Deadpool and Wolverine and your overall movie viewing experience?
10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I know there was some low ratings on some of the things we talked about.
I feel like I like it. It's not a 10.
But and it could just be, I just saw it. So it's new in my brain. It's fresh. It's fun. But as of right now, 10 out of 10.
Okay. I'm generally more of the hype over rating person. So this is interesting. I'm going to give it an 8. And for me, an 8 is like one of the highest. I mean, literally, if it's out of 10, 8 is one of the highest you can do. But for me, 8 is like excellent. There are very few movies in general, let alone MCU movies, that I would put 8 or above.
Yeah.
Just because the teacher in me never wants to give a 10 unless I feel something cannot be changed.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I have complaints, but I'm going to have complaints over any movie I see. Like, you going
to complain about anything?
Like, give me my favorite movie of all time and I'll still have critiques about it. So. And
then there's me, who I just sit there and enjoy what I get. And like, I'll have ways like, oh, I wish I got to see this, but I'm just happy I got what I got. So no, for me, so it's funny how you think that I would be giving the 10.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm going to give a solid 8 out of 10.
Fair. Like, lose 10 for me.
I think this is going to be, I haven't done my ranking for the year yet, but since this is the only Marvel movie we're getting this year, I can now kind of go and start to make my 2024 rank list. But no, I'm going to say this is going to be very near the top.
Yeah.
So to give any context to that, there aren't a lot of Marvel movies that I would give an 8 out of 10, just because I see like 9 out of 10 is almost perfect, and 10 out of 10 is like, this is like the most perfect movie that has ever been made. But no, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend going to see it. I would recommend going to see it in theaters, because the theatrical experience was great. Watching a bunch of people go at every single reveal, especially when it's the second time you've seen the movie and you already know what's coming. So instead of watching the screen, you watch the people next to you and their faces just. But yeah, I'm a fan of the chaos, and I think that this is a really good movie-going experience movie, and a really good movie to bring people back in that necessarily might have been caught up in the hate train. Now, y'all remember that when Agatha comes out, don't be giving her any hate, because that will not be a dude bro show. That will be a me show. That show was made specifically for me.
That one should be very heavily LGBT. So
it already is. Look at the trailer.
So I guess
everybody gay in that show.
That, so.
Yes, that's why I don't care that this one had pretty crappy representation, because the very next project we're gonna get is gonna be like the gayest Marvel project ever, and I'm all here for it.
Everybody's getting something. There you go.
There you go. So this has been our spoiler discussion of Deadpool and Wolverine. Let us know what you thought in the comments down below. Until next time, I'm LJ.
I'm Win.
And this is Bleeding Rainbow Comics. See ya.
Bye.